Good evening. Welcome to the August 1st meeting of the Commission of the Town of Ocean Ridge. Roll call, Trace.
Commissioner Ascomp,
Present.
Commissioner Bonfiglio,
Here.
Commissioner Cos,
Here.
Commissioner Lucibella,
Present.
and Mayor Pugh is absent with notice.
Okay, I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, consent agenda, the minutes of the regular town commission meeting of July 11th, 2016. Do we have any deletions, modifications? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
I move to approve the agenda and consent agenda listed in the minutes for the meeting for today.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Moving on to the minutes of the special town commission meeting of July 13th, 2016. Do we have any deletions or modifications on that?
Well, that's under the consent.
That was under,
agenda.
it's all in the consent, so I'll take
Okay.
care of.
All taken care of both? Good, good. Thanks for the help. Announcements and proclamations. Would you like to do the honors, or shall I?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Town administrative offices will be closed on Monday, September 5th, 2016, in observation of the Labor Day holiday. The regular town commission meeting in September has been moved to Monday, September 12th, 2016, due to the Labor Day holiday. The first public hearing on the FY 16-17 budget will be held at 5:01 p.m. on Monday, September 12th, 2016. And the second and final public hearing on the FY 16-17 budget will be held at 5:01 p.m. on Wednesday, September 21st, 2016.
Thank you, Tracy. You did that much better than the last guy that did it. Public comment.
Betty Bingham, 1 East Ocean Avenue. I don't know whether everyone is apprised of what they're thinking about doing in Boynton at this point. They're having 2 meetings this month, and they're talking about 10 stories on Ocean Avenue and Woolbright. And I really think the commission needs to give some consideration as to how they will be able to protect private property with that many people coming across the bridge. No attempt to keep them off the beach, just make them follow the rules and regulations of the ocean front.
Thank you, Betty. Ted?
Good evening. Ted Rotota, 4 Hudson. This is kind of a small issue. I don't know if there's anything we can do about it, but this time of the year we get an inordinate amount of seaweed on the beach. And some of the beachfront property owners contract, I guess there's maybe 2 operations. And I understand and get it that people want their beach cleaned, but these contractors, they take the weed from one beach and dump it on the next beach that's not contracted with them. They try and put it down by the surf, but basically they're just moving it from one location to another. My question to you guys is there any way we can get them to remove it from the beach or pile it somewhere instead of putting it back where it washes right up on someone else's area?
I think we should refer this to the town manager. I'm shocked, to be honest with you, Ted.
You've not seen them do that?
They used to be burying that.
Right, and the higher they bury it, the better it is for dune preservation.
Yeah, what they do
Well,
now is
on-
they rake
on the
it,
dune.
and then they go down to where the water is, and they lift the rake up, and they leave it.
Jamie?
Wow.
Wow.
They work under permits in conjunction with DEP, so if you get in touch with me at the office, I'll work with you to identify the companies and make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Thank you.
Thank
Jamie,
you,
is
Ted.
that something that the code covers?
It's
Requiring,
actually out of our jurisdiction where
we
he's
can't put anything
talking
in our
about.
code to prevent them from,
I'd have to research that and work with the attorney to see if we would
How is it
even,
out of our jurisdiction?
because it's below the high water mark, which is technically out of our jurisdiction.
well, they gotta cross our jurisdiction to get there, don't they?
Yeah, there's ways.
Taking it from the inlet.
Okay. The,
work with you,
yeah,
Jim,
by
on that.
definition, it's gonna be below the high water mark of the day, but we won't even go into that.
The water moves all the time, so.
Well, the high water mark there is a legal definition of it, but this is not.
But they are regulated by DEP, so
Okay.
we gotta make sure that they're doing,
Maybe it's something we can put on the next agenda to talk about, maybe.
Is this a new development? Or has it been going on for years?
It goes on, in my opinion, it's been going on for years, but it was recently, I saw it just this last weekend again, and that's, you know how I am, that's what's
Yeah.
frustrating me to be here.
All right, let's do this. Why don't we give it to the town manager to place on the agenda at discretion? He can place in his report or on the agenda once he gets more information on this.
May I ask him a question? Do you know if it's Universal Beach Services, which is hired by certain of the condos and personal owners?
To answer your question, Gail, I do not know for sure, but one's a red tractor and one's a blue tractor, so we should be pretty easy to be able to identify. The one for sure that I saw doing it over this weekend was the blue tractor.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? You want to go next, or you save the best for last, Terry?
I don't know, is there anyone else that wants to look for me?
Evidently not, please.
Terry Brown, Harbor Drive South. The mayor said he missed me, so I thought I would show up, and now he's gone. So,
Maybe it's not a coincidence.
this comment to this gentleman just made is that the sea turtles are nesting, and that's why they don't bring it up to the dune anymore. I mean, during this period of time. But it's true, we've seen them just dump it and spread it out, and not actually clean up and take it away. At any rate, that won't count against my time, will it?
Yes, it will.
Yeah.
So when does the time matter?
I wanted to give you a little bit of, oh, you have one, civic information. Then I want to talk about some town business. But as you know, the mission statement of this town says that this is a diverse seaside community. Well, in reality, we all know it's not very diverse, at least racially. So we don't kid ourselves about that. But it is diverse about different opinions. During the last election, and we had a 51% turnout in elections, which is very good. We always get high marks on that. Over 1,000 people are registered out of the 1,700 residents. And most of the votes, as we know, went to the Republicans because that's most of the majority of the registrations. There's some Democrats and some no party affiliations. But what you want to know and remember, that at that election, 71 people voted for Bernie Sanders in the town of Ocean Ridge. Now that's a diverse point of view, don't you think? A 74-year-old Jewish intellectual who's a social Democrat got 71 votes. It could be your neighbor. That's a little.
You're welcome.
So I just thought I would bring that up. So it is a diverse community in that sense. The other thing I wanted to find out, if there's been a change in the code or enforcement of the code about road rights of way and yard signs. Is that a violation or not? It is a violation in the code to have yard signs in the right of way or anywhere. I had a contractor that had a yard sign advertising his business, and the police officer came by and told him he had to remove it because they're not allowed in Ocean Ridge. Now, Commissioner Bonviglio has one that's on next to his property. I'm not suggesting that you did it or you authorized it, but it's been there for weeks. No one's removed it. You haven't removed it. The police department hasn't removed it. The town staff haven't removed it. So if there's a change in the code and there's an exception, does it apply to everyone or only to commissioners, adjacent property? So you get my point? It needs to be satisfied as the rest of us can put yard signs up, because we're going to get into the heat of the political season, and can we all do it? That sign is not related to town elections, which we know that the police department looks the other way when that happens. Some signs get installed and some signs disappear overnight. So could someone look into that and remove the sign if it's not authorized to be there in the road right of way? The other issue about road right-of-way is the parking, particularly along A1A. There's always construction vehicles parked along the east side where they're doing these construction sites. Now, today, there not have been too many. But I understood that the rule that once a building permit is permitted, if there's no parking permitted on the street, all the construction vehicles, with some exceptions like concrete trucks, have to be up on the property itself, not on the road right-of-way. I can't tell you how often I've gone down that road and seen vehicles right out onto the edge of the asphalt. And the other thing, the other day, I was coming from Ocean Avenue down to Woolbright, actually it was a couple of weeks ago. There were 4 yard service people with big trailers parked right on the sidewalk on the west side of the street. People had to walk out practically onto the asphalt to get around these vehicles. Now, you're going to say, well, they can't do their work unless they park on top of the sidewalk. Well, that's not the concern of the residents who have a safety issue walking along a sidewalk and then have to divert themselves back out onto the roadway. So I wish someone would look at that. I know the police department is trying to do a good job, but they don't make a policy change unless someone else gives them direction. No more parking along A1A with service vehicles. Get them up on the property where they're supposed to work, or park someone else and come over. All right?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Jamie, will you look into that?
Yes, and we're actually talking about those issues internally, so I will report back to you all on the status.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
I always follow.
By all means.
Got to be a habit. Don Magruder, 9 Ridge Boulevard. I have a question for Jamie. Over in the retention pond, just next to the drain, there is a large area of dead brown grass. Has that been treated to kill off the grass, or is it because of the lack of moisture underneath the soil? I don't know if anybody's even aware of it, but.
I don't have a specific answer for you, but we have our contract landscapers as well as some of our chemical companies in conversation with us now about the health and efficacy of the detention area. But I'd have to go down and look at specifically where you're talking about. Are you talking about where the outfall is or where the pump?
Where the outfall is, but it goes around the outfall, but it's not behind my house or Jim's house, but it goes up almost to behind my house. And it looks like it's somebody's sprayed defoliant or something on it, because the rest of it is still green. But that particular area is brown, and it's in a fairly large area, looks like it's been sprayed. So I'm just curious if they had started working on a retention pond already, or
They haven't
whether
yet.
that's a natural or just what's going on.
One of our companies is actually coming out tomorrow, and we're deploying one company to do an assessment of the subterranean drain field pipe system that we showed you in that area. They're also doing stormwater drain box vacuuming, and that company is coming on the scene tomorrow, so I'll have them take a look at it and see what we're seeing there.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Don. And I remind you all that the town manager maintains an open door policy. There's a lot of one-off issues that can be, that you're welcome to deal with him at length with over lunch in his office, cocktails maybe?
I don't do
Beer,
cocktails.
beer.
I don't even do that.
Thank you. Town manager.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. In the interest of time, I know we have a lot of presentations tonight, so I'll just go over my town manager report is in your backup. I'll report by just touching on the titles of what's going on. The Ocean Avenue tree removal project of the 7 calophyllums was completed on Friday. They did a great job. You can't even tell they were there. In fact, I was fearful about the loss of canopy, and it's hard to tell that there's a large loss of canopy, but I'm seeking input from residents and the commission and experts about what infill trees and plants we would like to do in the future to replant those areas that we had to take out. I sort of mentioned in response to Mr. Magruder's comments that we're working with our vendors right now in the stormwater detention area and upping the maintenance and the assessment on that with new parts and additional enhancements, and you'll see that hopefully improve. We are in talks with the PBA over the reopener on their contract, and I'm distributing to the commission members some paperwork on that I'd like you to absorb individually and have discussions with us, and then we'll take back our formal proposal and acceptance to the PBA at the appropriate time. In tonight's report, you have a version of the final Barrier Island Fire District Services study that the town was a participant with 6 other communities in the assessing of fire services and rescue and costs and infrastructure, et cetera, for the potential idea of putting a Barrier Island Fire District in place or not. The essential status of that study is the coalition of partners moved away from each other, so there is no critical mass to move forward on an actual implementation of a study, but there is a tremendous amount of good data and metric information about how we're structured, how much we pay, what it looks like, what the equipment is, what the response times and all the logistics of that plan. That entire study is in the backup for tonight. For the public, it's online since you don't have it in front of you. And at this point, unless the commission has any questions on it, we're considering that a receive and file study for the information, but there's no recommendations to take any action on it because there is no coalition to take action on it. Conversely, and related to that, we are in negotiations right now with the city of Boynton Beach on renewing our multi-year fire contract with them, which is technically looking like the current rate plus approximately a 4% increase for each successive year. That's still in final negotiation, but that'll be coming before you in probably the next month or so. There was some questions last month about the presentation we did on traffic calming infrastructure. Our engineers put forth a number of proposals for the various types of traffic calming devices that we talked about, and you saw on some of the examples and charts. They appear high, and that's because they're a la carte and generic at this point. I will say that you could put in traffic calming devices as low as a couple of $1,000s for specific installations, but I'm not sure you would be happy with the results of rubber mats bolted in place type approach. So ultimately, how you want to treat traffic calming with intersection tables or speed humps or various environmental designs to slow down and brand the traffic, we'll have to do more in-depth conversations on that and come up with the specifics, and then we'll hone in those prices for you. But those prices are in your backup as well for generic various versions that we might deploy.
Can I make one comment on that, Jamie?
Certainly.
I think when we approach the cost of these, we have to take a look at the amount of money being spent in Boynton. We know since 2010, they have up there in the CRA district, which is the district that affects us directly, their tax values have gone up $350 million. In other words, they have, included in that is the new buildings. So they have $350 million over there. They have $10 million that the CRA now collects. Of the $10 million, about 5 of that goes to the developers in some way, shape, or form. So they're spending about $600,000 a year on the other side of the bridge to build that corridor. So when we look at our costs, which are tiny compared to those costs, I think we have to look at it in a whole versus looking at it as Ocean Ridge.
Yeah, I'd go a step further to say $50,000 for some raised brick pavers. I have the utmost respect for our town engineer, but $53,000 for that kind of work, which if you did it in your driveway and mine, would cost you a total of 10 to 15 grand. I believe these prices are only because that's what towns pay, and I think the prices are outrageous. This is not going to require drainage or this or that. It's a matter of cutting up some asphalt and installing pavers with sand under them and cementing them in place. It's crazy. So we can look at it further, certainly. Go ahead.
see, okay, I'll change subjects if we're okay on traffic calming.
We can
for-
go
for
back to that
currently.
if there's other questions.
I put a blurb in here about the town code updates and revisions, and the attorney might speak to this a sentence or two, but as we look at town code, and as we reported to you just recently with statute changes and other situations, we quite often find that some of the provisions within our town code are in conflict with law or other regulations, and we need to update. We're working with the town attorneys to try to bring those specific sections forward to you. But I've been asked, in terms of looking at some of the sections of town code, how the commission might feel about who would like to spend some of the heavy lifting in doing that. For example, your building development, your land development regulation subcode. Would you want your planning and zoning board to take a look at that section and make some recommendations back to you as a commission? Or would you like to do it entirely at the commission level or staff level or some combination thereof? But right now we have the town attorneys working on the most egregious conflicts, if you will, and one of them was mentioned by a member of the public in terms of the sign code. There is case law now, for example, that talks about content of sign regulation versus physical sign location and construction, and we have to modify for that. But there's a number of issues that we have to deal with there over time. This is not,
Well, this was done, I don't believe it was a decade ago that we had a complete rewrite. Was it, Glenn, would you know?
Of the sign code? I was on the Planning and Zoning Commission, that was around 2001, 2002.
It was 16 years ago. I'm sure you're going to, if you could cover this when we get to your report,
Okay.
how's that?
okay.
Will do.
Okay,
And then final item I have in my package here is the budget workbook update. There is a new version online. The commission already has version 1. There's a big book like this, but it's in a digital version for the public. That's online. Tonight we'll set a meeting for a workshop in August to go through some of the detail on there, and you already heard that the public hearings are set for September. But if you have any questions of that, or you're wondering how the budget is constructed for the town and the content, it's online for you to all see. And I'm working with the commission as we get towards the details within that document.
great, thanks. Questions on any of this?
I do. I got a question on the Barrier Island Fire District Services.
Yes, sir.
My recollection is that we authorized payment of somewhere in the neighborhood around $20,000 as our contribution. Do we get any of that money back?
The number was actually $7,500,
Oh, okay.
the final number, and we paid it.
We paid it? Okay.
Our
good.
share ended up being $7,500.
So maybe it was not to exceed 20,000 or something
Yeah,
like that?
the original
Yeah,
motion
okay.
was along those lines, but the cost came in way under what was projected and
Okay.
anticipated at the time, and then we had a pro rata share of that.
Doesn't cost a lot to say no.
Right.
Any other questions for the town manager? Mr. Town Attorney?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the town manager indicated, we have started looking at various code sections in your code of ordinances, and there'll be a systematic review, and we're obviously cognizant of budgetary constraints, so we'll try to just prioritize and what needs to get done first. Jamie mentioned the sign code. Last year, the U.S. Supreme Court decided a case that kind of turned sign code law upside down throughout the country, and so I think every city in America is redoing their sign code, and this is like the 5th one that we've done. So you're getting the benefit of, obviously, that experience, and we'll have some conversations about where you want to go with that. But basically, as Jamie said, you can't base a code based on content. So, for example, you can't say a real estate sign is different than a political sign, based on the content of the sign. So the regulations have to be consistent. So if it's going to be 2x2 signs or 4x4 signs, as long as they're not based on the content of the sign. So that is a preview of what will be coming back probably in a month or two. Another code is the flood code. That the National Flood Insurance Program, they've updated their maps, their lists. The Florida Building Code has been updated, so we're basically updating your code to just comply with the most current standards. And finally, I think you've all heard about the legislature passed a bill called House Bill 535 that was effective July 1st that impacts municipalities' ability to license or register. If you're a licensed contractor in the state of Florida or in the county of Palm Beach, they're trying to restrict municipalities from having another layer. So we're going to look into that and see how far can we go. I think for right now, there's kind of a moratorium on enforcing that until we see what can the town do to have some level of control over folks that are doing work in the town. It's mostly on their vehicles, people coming into town with their painting truck. As long as they have a county license, a state license, the intent was don't have them burdened, legislative term, with additional local regulations.
Questions? I have one then, or I have a suggestion. Why don't we, obviously you are moving this forward. Do you want to move it forward one piece at a time, or do you want to bring this back to us with more specific recommendations of what portions of the part of the code need to be changed, what portions you're suggesting we farm out to planning and zoning for input? Does that make sense, or is it just an
Certainly.
extra step for you?
It's not it might help hone it in if we can identify the most critical conflicts and address those first. I think the piece about land development regulation ought to be considered as a whole, going to either P&Z or the commission to look at if that's all compatible with today's standards.
Well, and ultimately, you don't require a commission vote down the road to rewrite a portion of the ordinance.
On the ordinances, yes.
You do?
If you're
Yeah.
amending the ordinance,
You need a vote to approve the amendment,
yes.
but
Yeah.
you don't need, you just need direction to go ahead and work on it, correct?
That's true. And something like the sign code, that may have some discussion with it too, because that's been a sea change. Almost every community, they have quite a discussion on it, because it's a sea change from the way towns have had their sign codes in the past.
Yeah, my recollection of the code rewrite we did in the early 2000s was that the town commission recommended passing that study to planning and zoning. Planning and zoning conducted several hearings with the input of the then town attorney with respect to how to update our code, make it more modern. We then sent, I think, the entire code essentially en masse to the town commission with our recommendation to approve it, and then the town commission conducted a couple of public hearings to consider the changes, and then I believe they approved most, if not all, of the recommendations from the planning and zoning.
And that was a major rewrite.
Right.
And I think in this case, what we have is a couple specific issues that have been brought up as a result of court cases that can probably be short-circuited and need to be short-circuited sooner rather than later if possible, and some of it that can go. And it's always a pleasure to send something to planning and zoning that we're going to act upon their recommendation on. I mean, that's,
And this will keep them busy, but, I think our first goal is always, and excuse the expression, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So where the code sections are fine, we're not going to tinker with it just for the sake of tinkering with it. Only where they need to be updated will we be making changes,
put
suggested
your thoughts
changes.
together and come back to us with recommendation on what you want to do. Fair enough?
Okay, absolutely.
That good with everybody?
Can we bypass an extra month and just direct him to come up with recommendations and directly send those recommendations to planning and zoning
I
for
could-
consideration? So
Well-
we can, we won't lose an addition, because he's gonna have to come back to us, then we're gonna have to send to planning and zoning.
I hate to act upon something such as ordinances in the absence of the mayor, but I don't know that this has to go to planning and zoning. I think we can certainly instruct town attorney to work on those issues, those ordinances that are absolutely, that are clearly antiquated in law, and put together language or amendments or replacement language for those. As concerns the land development code, I think it requires a bit more, and I got the sense from your report that it requires a bit more thought process on your part before you come to us with specifics that need to be looked at.
My experience on the land development regulation side, it's a long process. It's not a quick
Yeah.
process.
Commissioner Lucibello, one of the things that you accomplish when you send it to planning and zoning is that they conduct the public hearings necessary to meet the public input requirements to pass these ordinances. And rather than So, I mean, it's not just sending it to planning and zoning. They have to publish their meetings with respect to what they're doing on the code, allow the
We're on
public
the
to
same
come in.
page.
Yeah.
We're absolutely, I served on planning and zoning for,
Yeah, you know.
for years, and we're absolutely on the same page. What I don't want to do is to get the sign, happen is get the sign ordinance, things like that tied up in a major land development
Right.
workshop by planning and zoning. So I think we have two issues going here, Commissioner. I think we've got those simple issues that can be dealt with by the town attorney, and the larger issue of the land development code that absolutely can be sent to planning and zoning. But you can't send the whole code to planning and zoning and say, tell us what you don't like about it. We need some direction for them from town manager and town attorney.
All I'm suggesting is that the town attorney, instead of reporting back to us, and then we send that to planning and zoning, is that we authorize the town attorney now, rather than come back to us and then the following month send it to planning and zoning, is just go directly to planning and zoning. That just seems
At
to
the commission's discretion, for my own part, if I have a hard time sending anything to planning and zoning when I don't know what is being sent to them. In other words, we haven't identified the issues there that need to be worked on, in my opinion. And it's gonna take them a year and a half to get it done. So I don't see
Hopefully
that-
not.
Well, it took us a good 2 years to get
Isn't most of this just a compliance issue with new laws?
Again, I think there's two different things.
Agreed.
Let's take the planning and zoning part and put it on the side. The ones where it's compliance with new laws, like the sign code, the floodplain ordinance, those we'll bring straight to the commission.
yeah.
Those are straight commission items. When you're dealing with the land development regulations, what I'm hearing you both say is that's something that's eventually gonna work its way to the planning and zoning board. Once staff in our office have come together and said, okay, these are the critical issues, that probably needs to go to planning and zoning, that probably then eventually gets here. And as Jamie said, that's a long process. That's, to me, a minimum of a 6-month process.
So why don't we use compliance as the break point?
We're all saying that, we're all
I
using
think we're
the
all
same
saying the same
language.
You really are.
We're all saying the same thing in different
Yes.
terms. You know what we call that? Kumbaya moment. Okay, what do we have? Chief,
The monthly police report has been included in your backup material. Should you have any questions, I will do the best I can to answer them for you, as the chief is currently away.
I have no question.
No questions?
I have no questions. Okay. Action items. Setting the date for the August budget workshop, special town commission meeting. Jamie,
As you heard me earlier report, we need a meeting, which would be a workshop setting meeting to go over the content and the priorities and parts of the annual budget. We've identified, the town clerk, in talking to you all, has identified a few dates that you might all be available. One of those dates has already been eliminated for conflict issues. So right now, the current open dates would be August 22nd and August 23rd. I believe that's a Monday and Tuesday.
It is. That's correct. Monday and
Okay.
Tuesday.
Would be our ideal target dates that you all said would be available on your schedule. This would be a daytime meeting, and it would be for as long as you need to go through the budget book on a workshop basis.
hate to do it if we're gonna take a half a day, I hate to do it on a Monday. Although I'm open both days, I'll do it whenever you guys, it's just a tough way to start out a week behind.
Either one is fine with me.
So the 23rd's a Tuesday?
Tuesday,
Why don't we aim for that?
Steve?
August
Yeah.
23rd, okay.
Fine.
Yeah.
Do we know the mayor's preferences on one of those 2 days?
the mayor was fine with these dates.
Fine with- So let's do the 23rd.
Great, thank you. Do we need do you need a vote on that, Tracy? Consensus.
Consensus?
So it's
Um,
Tuesday, 23rd, anytime certain, or not necessary? Any preference in timing on that? Morning, midday, afternoon?
I happen to
Evening.
like the morning.
I agree.
Shoot for a morning meeting on the 23rd? Is that
Okay.
consensus
Yeah,
for everybody?
Is that okay
I'm muted. What time are we talking in the morning?
6 a.m. Val.
I'm not in favor of that.
6 works for me. Yeah, take a chance.
Just kidding.
Question regarding that matter. Are you going to allow public comment? It says workshop, special town commission meeting. Some workshops don't allow, they allow the public to be there, but they don't allow comment. But if you're identifying as a special town commission meeting, that would require public comment?
We will leave that to the decision of the mayor.
Well, we would have to know as a public whether or not.
It would be,
It's always a public meeting.
Okay, there you go. So there'll be comment.
I didn't say that. I said it's open to the public.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question? This is my first time with the budget. Would you like me to be at that meeting? Because some towns, I don't go to budget workshops, some I do. It depends on each town. Do you usually have an attorney present for a budget workshop or not?
I don't believe we have in the past. I don't
Okay.
believe we have.
Okay, I just wanted to be sensitive to that. Okay.
you'll
Happy to
definitely
here.
be at the 2 public hearings in September.
Oh, absolutely.
when
I'll
it's
be at the
adopted.
trim hearings, but, okay, thank you.
And on to the main part of our evening's extravaganza. Say again?
Still need to set a time.
Yeah.
9 a.m.
9 a.m. work?
It's fine with me.
9 a.m. Insurance presentations.
Yes, sir. Can I cue that up for you? The town of Ocean Ridge invests a great deal of money in its insurance program offerings for the employees, our workforce. There's almost 30 employees here, and the town offers a basic managed plan. And across the spectrum, as we've reviewed the plan and talked to employees of the town and looked at the various options, we have essentially come to the conclusion that we're not getting a lot of bang for our buck on the current type plan that is in place. So we put out to our current providers and also put out to other providers the idea that we would like to enhance the bang for the buck that the town would get in offering its benefits and amenities to the town without significantly in any way increasing the cost that the town currently invests. So we charged to all the various providers we spoke to look at the monies that we invest in the town, look at the census of our workforce, and then come back to us with some ideas of how we might enhance and embellish that set of benefits for the employees at roughly par cost to the town, so that there wasn't a great difference there. We have 4 companies that responded that wanted to speak to you tonight, but just so you know, and for the record, the 4th company in your package, a company called Co-Advantage, has withdrawn from that presentation, leaving 3 companies to talk to you tonight. And that's because their business model involved using a shared employee leasing PEO, which is Professional Employment Organization model, and we could not find substantial evidence out there already or contractual services with public government entities that made us comfortable in order to consider going that particular model. So tonight, we have 3 presentations. We have one from Adams Benefits, which is our current insurance program provider. We have one from Gloria Rosen and Evershore, which has some additional plans and information presented to us. And then we have a third company called Paychex, which is a hybrid presentation in that we've approached them to talk to us both about insurance administration benefits, as well as outsourcing the payroll component of our bookkeeping functions here at the town. So it's a little bit of a hybrid, but they fit best because there's the crossover in this discussion. So without further ado, what I would like to do is allow each representative of each company to make their short presentation to you and answer your questions, and then get consensus from the commission moving forward.
Before you do, before you
sir.
get, wait a minute. These were delivered to us while I was out of town over the weekend, but I guess they came in Saturday.
I got mine.
I've been out for a week or more.
Yeah, we got ours
I didn't
early.
even see mine until I got in the house on Sunday night. Okay. My fault. These are not apples to apples. Insurance plans are very, very difficult. I absolutely want to hear the presentations, but what I'm hoping is that there's some uniformity to what we requested that's going to allow these fine people to speak to each other's programs, because this gets really, really funky when you start looking at, well, the copay here is this, and the deductible here, except for out of plan. Very difficult to compare, so I hope we're going to get some clarity. Go ahead.
I think we should get some, based on the presentations, what I understand will be presented. That's one of the reasons of keeping the metric the same in terms of the investment the town is putting forth, and how closely we could come to that by amassing the various investments we currently make under the current scenario. You have a couple of options here, and I would categorically tell you that every company that will talk to us or present to you faces similar situations in that each year at a certain point of time, say it's October 1 or whatever, those rates all go up and they change each year, and there's, from a budgeting standpoint, there's always a educated guesstimate that goes on as to what those rates are going to be and how they're going to change each year. But all the companies are affected by that same phenomenon in one way or another. Where they can perhaps sweeten a deal or not is their own relationships with those companies, with their leveraging of various products and combinations and plans. And I think what you'll hear tonight from the three providers that are here is that the plans that they are bringing forth to us today closely mirror what we have in place while enhancing it, based on the criteria we gave them. Now, you can have, as a result of tonight's presentations and getting your questions answered, you could technically make a decision to move forward, or you have the ability to give direction and then settle in on one of these as in conjunction with the budget workshop, which is coming up in a few weeks, hence why we advertised a potential special town commission meeting if we need to put an actionable meeting in at that time to finalize the deals, so to speak. Otherwise, I think these providers and us at staff level, speaking to them, they provided tremendous amounts of useful information for us, and I think they'll be equally enlightening to you on that basis.
So I have one question, Jamie. I'm a little confused. It says outsourcing payroll. So currently, we do that in-house, right?
We
But
do
have-
that in-house. The reason we're contemplating that model as well is because our building business, our building permit business has exponentially increased. And so some of the regular ongoing and bureaucracy factors, basically doing all the bookkeeping and accounting, sometimes puts our staff in conflict with servicing other functions of both the building department, the permit processing, and the records keeping and all of that kind of stuff. So we added that into the mix, and because many of the companies that do outsource payroll also do insurance benefits.
Right,
they're-
but the companies that are presenting here, some are presenting apples and some are going to present apples and
Well,
oranges.
you can carve these out.
That's what I want to
You
know.
Yes.
can consider them separate, the outsourcing of payroll and
As a
to the-
cost.
to the extent of the extra work for staff, I have the ability to play my violin simply because the town manager knows that I am in favor of happen to be in favor of the outsourcing. It shouldn't be done in-house payroll. But go ahead, Kerry,
Okay.
move it forward.
So I think the best thing to do is go ahead to the presentations, hear from the three presenters, and then see where your body of questions and where your consensus is moving forward at that point in time.
Go for it.
Okay, so first up is our current presenter, Adams Benefits. That's the first package in your backup.
Thank you.
And I'll let each presenter introduce themselves and their company to you and give you whatever preamble.
Okay, I'm David Adams from Adams Benefit Corporation. We've been in business since 1975, doing employee benefits. We took over the town's insurance about 5 or 6 years ago, and the town currently has a health savings account, HSA program, okay, which a lot of companies are using. I guess what happened is the town clerk and the city manager decided to talk to some of the employees, and they didn't like that type of a concept. They'd rather have something with a copay, like you go to the doctors instead of having, but I think the town right now is currently subsidizing, what is it, $1,000, $1,500 towards the cost of the health savings account. I wasn't sure. So the current program had a $1,500 deductible, and then it paid 90%. The employee paid 10%. Until the maximum they paid was $3,000. The town,
Where are we seeing that?
that's in the NHP first
got
page,
it,
page
got it.
1.
Okay.
Okay, all I did was I gave you an update because when I gave the first presentation, I didn't have the actual renewal from NHP. So all it says, this is the actual renewal for that same exact plan. That's the only change in the whole program. So the maximum out of pocket that a person would have would be $2,000 for an individual. Now, the family is a $3,000 deductible with a $6,000 maximum out of pocket. Now, again, in discussions, they wanted to look at a copay plan. Now, you can offer both plans at the same time. You don't have to be just one plan. You can have a copay plan and you can have a health savings account. Because some of the employees might like a health savings account where they can set aside money on a tax favorable basis. Now, the program that I came up with Neighborhood Health Plan was, you can see the first one's a $2,000 deductible, but then it pays 100%. However, it pays a $25 copay for the doctor. That's not subject to the deductible. The $50 copay to a specialist. You go to emergency room, you have a $200 copay. Urgent care, you have a $100 copay. And then you have your drug card. Okay, those are not subject to deductible. So the only time the deductible is going to come into play is if you are admitted to the hospital or have outpatient surgery. That's when you'll pay the $2,000 deductible. Your maximum out of pocket is $4,000 on that program. That would include your copays for drugs and everything involved. So that's all encompassing. I think you'll find of the proposals that I've got here, that's the most competitive as far as a prices standpoint. Now, then you've got further ones down the line that cut the price further. If you go to an 80/20 co-insurance after the $2,000 deductible, I got a $5,000 deductible. So there's a number of options with Neighborhood Health Plan. Again, the higher the deductible, the lower the premium.
Mayor, so Vice Mayor, it would be helpful if she could put Tracy, not Tracy, if she could put that on the page that
Can
we're
you,
going
are you
through,
able?
on the display
Okay.
so everybody in the public can see.
Was this on the website for download?
Not the new one.
Not
Well,
the one he brought
but-
tonight,
okay,
but
not
the
the one he
package
brought.
is,
Okay.
yes.
And it would be helpful.
Yeah, the only difference was it was just the actual renewal,
Okay.
but everything else is the same.
Who is Neighborhood Health Partners?
United Healthcare.
Oh, United.
It's
Okay.
United Healthcare.
Yeah, hold on one second.
Neighborhood Health Plan is United Healthcare's local program. Okay, it's a Florida plan.
Okay.
Not gonna be
Okay.
able to see it very good, though. It's very small.
That's fine. I can see it.
Questions?
Okay,
Do you rep any other
yes,
insurers
there's
other than United?
there's other proposals here. Okay, there's
You have
also,
an Aetna program, I think?
yes, there's a proposal from United Healthcare,
Okay.
which is national in scope. Okay, and you can also do the neighborhood health plan that you have, the health savings account, and offer United Healthcare if you want to too, because those are interchangeable. So you can offer 2 or 3 different plans. They'll let you do 3 different plans, if that's what you want to do. So the United program is going to be a little more expensive. Okay, the one in the middle probably is the most competitive one. That's a $2,500 deductible, and then it pays 95%, and you pay 5% after that. You have a $40 copay to the doctor, $40 to their premier doctors, they call them. And if you don't go to the premier doctors, it's $80 copay. The premier doctors make up about 60% of the doctors in the area, about 60%. Okay? So that's United. Then we have programs from Aetna and Humana. The Aetna program is a very good program. It's got a $30 copay to the primary doctor, $60 to the specialist, the very first one I'm showing you. That deductible is $3,000. You got a $75 copay to an urgent care facility, and then you got your particular drug program. Your maximum out of pocket is $6,500. You can see that price is a little higher than the neighborhood health plan. The neighborhood health plan is going to be the most competitive price there is. And it's United Healthcare's network, so the doctor list is the largest there is in South Florida. You don't get a larger network than United Healthcare or neighborhood health plan. Because if you sign up for United Healthcare, you automatically sign up for a neighborhood health plan too. It's just simultaneous. Now, there was one concern about, well, how about the deductible? Because the deductible is $2,000 or $3,000, whatever. One way to take care of that deductible, so the employees would have no deductible, would be buying what is on page 4. This is what they call a gap policy. The gap policy, I've shown here that you can buy it at $500, $5,000, $6,000. The first one I showed was $3,000. So if you go into the hospital, it'll pay the first $3,000. So that takes care of your deductible on certain situations. Outpatient benefits, also the same thing, $3,000. The outpatient benefits would take care of outpatient surgery, emergency room, urgent care, MRIs, CAT scans, et cetera, all those particular items. But those would all be paid up to $3,000 also. The next one on the other side covers $5,000. So it's just different amounts.
So I have a question which probably Jamie could answer, or maybe even Tracy. We're looking at family deductible versus individual deductible. I have no idea if the staff and the police have their families insured through these policies, or if they have their families elsewhere and they're individually insured.
There's 22 singles. One person is covering a child or children,
Yeah.
and one person has family coverage.
Page 2, right here.
Currently, the town does not pay for or invest in family coverage.
No, I didn't know how many people were supplementing to get the family.
Yeah.
And since we have 27-plus employees, by those numbers, 5 or 6 or more are not on the plan altogether because they don't find it useful within
Or they have
their
coverage
needs.
through their spouse or
They have
something of the
other
sort.
coverages.
Thank you.
The actual recommendation that I would have over all these proposals is to stay with neighborhood health plan and keep the HSA, the health savings account, but also implement one of these plans with a copay, because that was where they found the complaints. Is that not right? Is that what you said, Tracy? Is the complaints were in regards to they wanted a copay plan.
Well, this is, to me, came out of nowhere, though we've discussed it at length. I don't know where this is coming from. I assume it's coming from the employees that they are dissatisfied. So within that context, I wonder how it is that we sit up here to determine what's going to satisfy them without throwing it back to them and saying, what would you like, budget neutral? You know, this is we're not talking about doing an across-the-board raise here, I don't think. We're talking about doing it within a budget neutral.
Jamie might have the answer to that.
Do you?
Maybe.
Well, my recommendation was going to be, let's digest all this input, defer to the new, budget meeting, advertise as a special meeting, and, we'll give our mayor an opportunity to digest all this
I
and
think
vote
we're
on it,
all
too.
going to come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
But
But I mean, in that interim, we can use that time to
I
get
mean,
the input from the
yes, we
employees.
and we can, and the proposals, and certainly from our current agent, the proposals are helpful and stuff to digest. Go ahead, James.
I'll try to be real brief, to address two comments. One, if we make changes, it would be considered a major contractual change if we change providers. If we change amenities offered to the employees, that certainly involves your input on that. And it's got budgetary constraints. I want to correct the record. We're not just doing this because somebody wanted co-pays. I think you have a lot of employees in the audience and a lot of feedback we've gotten at administrative levels that the current plan we have does not function well and does not perform as marketed. So we're looking at alternatives that will both stay within the parameters of the town and treat our employees better.
I would like to understand, tease that apart a little bit. What is it, that the bills aren't getting paid, that they can't get in to see the docs, that they don't like the docs that are on the panel, that, we've got to be more specific than we don't like our health plan. It doesn't work, it doesn't function well. How doesn't it function well?
The current plan that we are under categorically is a, you can correct me if I get this wrong, Dave, but it's like an HMO on steroids. It's a restrictive HMO that is very narrowly managed.
Let me ask you, are primary care referrals to specialists required under this NHP?
No.
Well, then it's not an HMO on steroids. They can, the staff can self-refer to a specialist?
Any specialist you want to go to.
That's
within
not,
the
that's not
network.
even close to an HMO, let alone an HMO on steroids. So describe
Okay,
what you
maybe I
mean by
didn't
that.
describe that well.
I
They
thought,
don't need to get prior approval to go and see a doctor? They don't need to get on the phone?
no.
That's
No.
a fee-for-service system.
I was told by my doctor that I need, in my particular case, and I don't have a problem because I don't really utilize the plan that much, but I was told I need a referral to specialists through the primary care physician
No,
under the
Not
current
true.
plan.
not true. Tracy?
And we've had several other employees as well.
Say again?
We've had several other employees who have needed prior authorization for services such as a cortisone shot as well.
And I'm no expert, though. I've been in the healthcare business locally, the insurance business for 30 years. I know who United Healthcare is. I've not had occasion to hear of Neighborhood Health Partners. Barbara? Yeah. Okay. It was a takeover plan?
Yeah, United bought them about 8 or 9 years ago
Okay.
and integrated them into the United Healthcare platform.
Unless you have something to add.
No, I
because
just want to know, is it an HMO or a PPO?
it is neither. It is a fee-for-service
It's a
system.
point of
It's an
service.
indemnity plan.
Point of service. Point of service.
Okay.
Which is point of service is what's being sold to everybody now.
Okay.
You're not going to get comparing United Healthcare, Aetna, Humana, all of them. Okay, you're going to get apples and oranges because none of them are going to be able to match it.
Oh, I agree.
Nobody can match what you have.
Well, but that doesn't mean that NHP is the gold standard by any means against
No.
which we have to match.
That's right.
I'm trying to find out what is the bone of contention about this now. If you tell me that you had to, we're told that, no, I can't refer you without a referral, and you tell me the same thing, then I would want to know, well, who do they call when that happens? They don't call their agent, they call somebody else
I
that gets it resolved yesterday.
I think maybe what she's referring to is, and I don't care what company you're with, okay, if you want to get an MRI.
Diagnostic
okay, you just
testing should
can't- you
require
just can't-
referral
you
in
just-
all plans, yes.
You just can't walk in and say, I want an MRI. Okay, you need to get authorization. I don't care if it's Neighborhood Health Plan, United, Aetna, I don't care who it is. They're all
We
the
all
same.
get that. We all get that part. You can't self-refer for diagnostics in any plan.
Right.
You were talking about seeing a doctor, a
Like a
specialist.
specialist, yeah.
Okay.
And there is no referral. Definitely 100% no referral.
Tracy?
Commissioner, we have several employees in the audience today that have stories of their own if you wanted to hear from them.
I don't think this is a venue to, I'd love to hear from them individually, but I don't think this is a venue for this. That's my whole point. I think that that's the information that should be garnered and brought to us.
Okay.
This is our problem with this plan, in which case we turn to you or somebody else and we say, NHP, not healthy anymore.
Right. I
You know,
understand.
let's find something else that suits their needs. Nobody's trying to hold the employees back. We want to accommodate them, budget neutral.
Let's hear from, are you finished with your presentation?
Yeah, I mean,
let's hear from the other
I had a meeting here, I guess it was about a week and a half ago.
I mean, I'd like to hear from the employees, see what they have to say. You know, briefly, maybe limit it to a couple of minutes.
I would prefer not to for a bunch of different reasons, part of which might include HIPAA. I just don't want to get into this. I don't think it's an appropriate thing for us to do with the employees, to dip below. I don't think it's appropriate to do to our town manager, to dip below him and go directly to his staff to hear their gripes when he hasn't had a chance to resolve them.
It's a public meeting and, you know.
Mr. Lucibel,
they're
may I-
here. Let's
Go ahead.
hear from them.
If I could recommend, I think if we can stay on the intended presentations and
Agreed.
just hear from the three companies.
Agreed.
And then, you know, if it were that somebody wanted to speak to public, to public comments at the end because they have a specific story that's important, you can entertain that, but I think it's important we hear from the three providers so that
I
they
agree.
can give you comparative information on these plans we've brought forward, because they've all come at this from the same place with the same set of parameters.
I agree.
The purpose of telling you that we're not happy with the current plan is because that has been the anecdotal evidence, and we're trying to improve that situation.
That would be good enough for me. Fine, we need to look at a different provider, and not necessarily a different agent, a different provider, if that is the consensus. If you can tell this commission, now that is absolutely the consensus of your staff, I think we're all convinced. But let's move forward and hear from Evershore. Great job. Thank you.
Yeah, because you got United and Aetna and Humana and
Understood.
other options there too.
If we put this vote off to mid-August, I think it's August 23 is the meeting. We'd
That's
like to.
fine.
That's okay, there's no other,
There's no
there's
rush
no
on it. There's
time
no super
constraint?
rush.
It's an October
It's
renewal.
October renewal, okay.
It's an October renewal, so it's
Very
no
good.
problem.
Thank you.
Okay.
Gloria, you're up.
Good evening, Commissioners and Mayor, and I thank you for allowing me to come up here. Can you all hear me well? Am I loud enough?
Yes, yep.
All right. All right. I will tell you that I met with the committee, the Benefits Committee, which comprised of the town manager, the town clerk, and the chief of police. And I went over some ideas from them and concerns that they had and what they were looking for as far as benefits and as far as giving their employees the best benefits available. And I broke it down we met a few times, and the last time I met, I brought about 250 plans with me. Every major company that does business here in Florida, narrowed it down to 3 to 4 companies, and then 2 to 3 plans in each company, and the consensus was the following that's in your package, which is Blue Cross Blue Shield. And the reason for this is we used the benefit base, what I call a base plan, is their HMO, and it's one of the best HMOs out there, no referrals necessary. Now, I will tell you, years ago, probably 12 to 15 years ago, all HMOs took away the referral necessity of going to specialists and/or regular doctors. Yes, it depends on radiology, it depends on other things that you do have to get referrals, but they're not referrals. They have to call in and get the permits.
Prior
So
authorization.
that's to get that, everybody has the same, and you're right. But the HMO stopped using the referral verbiage. There is no more, and it's been taken away. Going back to why we chose the HMO, this is the base, and there'll be 2 to 3 other plans offered. We can offer 4 plans from Blue Cross Blue Shield, which include the HMO and we call point of service as well. This is purely an HMO. And the reason we chose this is a $250 deductible for the calendar year, $10 office visits, $25 specialists, and in going down all of the benefits, which I'm not going to go over with you now, it was very much within favor of the committee and some of the employees that know me from prior cities. Also, I forgot to tell you in introduction, I have been doing this since 1975 for 41 years. I started when I was 12, and you can do the math. Let's have an understanding. So I am with Evershore Financial Group. I'm also a specialist in pensions and license and securities. So it's not just the benefits for the employees, but I have other cities and towns that I do business with. And the main thing is that there is no one that is allowed to sign up any employee but I personally and one of my staff. The other part is that all problems with concerning doctors, hospitals, bills, et cetera, they have to call my office and we resolve the problem within an hour of the call from every employee that I have on the books and payroll in other towns as well. So I do not expect one of your staff to resolve or help to try to resolve problems, which I understand they've had several, and issues were, took a long time to get resolved in the town. But going back to this, I want you to look at the attachments. There's attachment 2, which is the dental. Attachment 3 is the vision. And I would like you to pay attention just for one moment to attachment 4. This is, they currently have basic life insurance of $15,000. They currently have short and long-term disability, and all of this is with Mutual of Omaha. I believe the gentleman that was before me is the agent on it. What I was able to do was changing companies to Reliance Standard. I was able to lower the cost of all of these and come out with a savings of $211 a month at $2,500 annual savings. And if you look at number 5, and I really feel that the $15,000 life insurance is a little bit understated for the positions that you have as far as police officers. But even if I change it to $25,000, I'm still saving the town $111 in just these 3 items, these 3 benefits. Do you have any questions so far? No?
Town is paying a life insurance benefit?
Yes.
We have a 15,000 life insurance benefit.
Okay.
And the other part is within the range of what you are spending now and what is proposed. I'm not sure which plan you're going to look at, but the proposed plans, I did the first part, my first page 1, it shows it's $590.40 an employee for this benefit. Now, depending on which way you're going to look at the presentation before, I was $5 over what I thought was going to be the presentation of either the Aetna or the Humana with the high deductible with adding the GAP plan to it. And I am $36 a month lower for ages 55 and over.
And you're $60 over the neighborhood health partnership.
Yes, but quite a big difference in, one of the questions you had was about neighborhood, and they have a very small medical amount of people, doctors in the area. That was one of the complaints that you had, was using neighborhood, and neighborhood does not have United. It is not the same doctors, providers.
It was takeover, yep.
No, but the network that is available.
It's a subset, I understand.
Very, very small, and not.
I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
On page 1 of what you just gave to us, I'm assuming the pay structure is the $590.40 per employee, the $1180 is an employee and spouse?
Yes.
Okay, and then 1092.24 is
Employee and
child, or children? Does that include or exclude the spouse? Just the employee
No,
and
the
the
family
children?
is the end one.
That's the
Yes,
family, okay.
yes.
All right. So if you're giving the employee the option of any one of these 4,
Yes, but I usually break it down into the following. We take the employee, which is paid 100% by the town.
Okay.
Then I take the spouse, child, and children and family and break it down to their level of what they're going to be putting in if they add their spouse or children, their dependents. One of the biggest problems was a lot of people, as you can hear or heard before, are not on the plan. You only have 2 employees that are taking advantage, one with a child and one with a family. All the others will not go on the plan that's existing now because of the benefits and the out-of-pocket and the high deductibles.
Or
So
because they have coverage from their own employer.
there are some that do, but there are a lot that don't.
Okay, and beginning at page 104 in section 1 through 4, I guess 404, there is no authorized out-of-network treatment. Is that?
Not on this plan. This is an HMO.
So
This
they
is
either
just
go-
my base
Yeah, they either go in-network or they don't get covered.
on this particular plan, but there are also going to be available 3 other plans. Another HMO and 2 of the point of service, which is in or out of network.
That was in the earlier package that we got in.
Yes, there was
All right.
I think that the earlier package was just too big. I also printed out from last Wednesday when it was put into your packages, and I found it to be,
The Florida Blue Network is extraordinarily expansive, extremely expansive.
26,000
I can speak to that.
doctors.
Okay.
Are you done?
Yeah, answer my question, sir.
Let me ask you, did you just state that there's a number of spouses of our employees who are uninsured because of cost?
from my understanding, there were a lot of people that had, this is, and Tracy can be, and Jamie as well, can tell
True.
you, that there are people that couldn't afford the, just the premium was fine, it was just the benefits and the out-of-pocket and the deductibles and the per family, and I know, without speaking to somebody that went through it, that they had a lot of money that they had to pay out of their pocket for their family.
So then, okay, explain to me this 590. And by the way, health insurance is expensive for everybody involved. I mean, there's no such thing as not having to pay a lot out of pocket when you're gravely ill, and that's unfortunate. The 590/40, you said that you're showing a savings on the life insurance of $111.20.
No, the savings is 200, on the life insurance, the savings is actually 211.57. That's number 4, if you would mind.
Okay.
All right, the 211 is just in that one area, and that's on a monthly benefit. So yes.
Okay, so you can increase them to $25,000 and still save the town $111.20.
A month.
A month, which makes which if credited to this, gives you an effective $478
No.
premium?
No, it's per employee that we're looking on. The first page, this is per month for the town. This, the Blue Cross Blue Shield, the 590, would be very little affected, $10 a month. It's not, we're not talking, we have 22 employees on the plan. So no, that's not how, I appreciate that, that would be great.
No, well, then I'm confused.
Okay.
What happens to this $211 savings? Do we put it in the town's pocket?
Yes.
Okay,
On-
so we
on-
can, if we're gonna put it in the town's pocket, we can credit it in our minds to
Anywhere
the
you want.
590.
Yeah, but
and
it's
you-
only $10.
Pardon?
It's only $10 a month.
Okay, well,
Okay. What I was trying to do here is just comparing all of your benefits, because that's what Jamie asked me to do, to look at all the benefits and see if there is an area that I can do better, give a little lesser price, have the same or better benefits, and that was the point of my whole, of doing it.
590/40 is a roughly a 10.6% increase over our proposed NHP, and this would get it down to about 9%. Yeah, take a
So,
point off.
one thing, I noticed out of network, and I'm not an insurance expert by any manner, Rich is. It's not covered the whole entire sheet.
There is
but-
no out-of-network on this plan. In your packages
But
were,
what's the cost on these other plans? Are
they were much higher.
It's in the book.
742, right?
Pardon me?
$742
Yeah,
per
there are,
employee per month.
is that I don't see it.
Yes, it looks like yours.
Is that Blue Cross?
590 for.
Oh, yes, then there is a
742.
742, there's a POS plan.
742.
Yes.
So in other words, to get out of network costs similar to what we have now, the employee would have to spend or the town would have to spend $742.
No, your base is 590. If
Right.
somebody
With
wants,
no
if somebody
out-of-network
wishes, if somebody wishes the out-of-network service, going to a doctor and having maybe a $5,000 or a $4,000 deductible, a $3,000 deductible, and go out of network and only get paid 50% of what the doctor allowable, no one uses out-of-network benefits when they get Blue Cross Blue Shield because of all of the doctors and that they're able to see. They don't go out of
See, that's
all the
where I
hospitals.
just don't know. Is that
It's
a fact?
really unusual, although wives, gynecologists, pediatricians, you know, those are the people that families are most attached to. And if they're not on the panel, that's where you see the dissatisfaction. Personally, as an employer, what I would do again in that case is throw the panel out to the employees and say, what do you want? Here's your choices. What do you want? You know, I don't know. Would you agree, Gloria?
Yes, two of your employees currently were former employees of another city that's how I got here, because they recommended me.
right?
Pardon me?
Is that right?
Yeah, well, I'm telling you the truth.
I bet you are.
But the point is that there are things that I do and service that I provide that are not provided by most agents. And the main thing is taking away from, I do not want the town clerk or anyone to give out a package on anything or any of the benefits. I'm the one that meets with each new employee, sits with them, explains the benefits, and when they leave here, I do what I call exit planning. I do planning for retirement. I do all of these things with people that has nothing to do with the town. It's just what I'm adding to my services for the employee.
And do you give me your cell phone?
And Medicare, and and yes.
You do.
All right, I'm sorry. His too, all right. This is my little boy, just to let you know. And my little boy is my administrative assistant for 26 years. Every employee gets his telephone line directly to him. He is my service person. He is the person that handles all of the problems. And it never has come back that within an hour, everyone gets a call back personally to handle it.
Who is, what are the companies do you rep?
Everybody. Humana, Aetna, AvMed,
Okay.
Neighborhood United,
Okay.
there are my favorite, Blue Cross Blue Shield, because all my
Employees' favorites, too.
my town all my towns have it, my cities have it. Blue
Okay.
Cross Blue Shield.
I assume you also don't have a problem with us delaying a decision to the August 23rd meeting?
We were trying. This was not me. This was the town manager was trying to get this done way before, so that maybe you would have a September 1st. One of the problems is when you're doing budgeting, because this is something I work with my cities, and this is something I'm very in tune with. And it's so difficult because the rates usually don't come out for 60 to 45 days before they're due. And the other problem is that it's hard to get those rates. And what we try to do, I work with budgeting. I try to do my open enrollment a month before it is even due, because the payroll deductions have to be done in September for October, in this case. So what we're trying to do here is maybe, because it makes sense, if you do an earlier open enrollment and you do it in September, and you have a September effective date, then your budgeting fits wonderfully, because you will know the prices for budgeting. You will know what your expenditures are, and it's an easier fit. This way, the town knows it, and the employees effective instead of October 1st, September 1st.
So what is your response to the commissioner's question?
If it can be done earlier, the better, because this is something that, if you're going to do it for September 1st, I have to have everything in by August 20th.
I have a concern. Last time I counted, there are 12 months in a year. This is a public body that of needs can't move quickly without tripping over itself. And so of those 12 months in a year, you come to us in the last 2 months to say, we're going to give you a month to do your work so that we can get this done. It's sounding to me like this may be something that gets postponed for a year as a result. How are we supposed to come to a decision by the end of August, like?
You do this every year, if I may. I'm sorry. I just want to,
We do, but
every city does this every
very,
year.
very differently than we are currently doing it. We have gone with the same agent every year and gone with that agent's recommendations year after year, and it becomes much more a rubber stamp issue. We are now looking at 3 different agents, 6 different plans.
Different costs.
And we have to do it in a public venue. So again, to your question, when do you need a decision from us by?
If we're going to do October, then it could be in September. So it
Okay.
depends on, if you're going to target for October as you do normally, then you can do it by September.
Okay, so you don't really need us to do a September
I
start.
don't know.
Okay.
Excuse me. It was suggested that we look at September 1st only because it makes it easy for budgeting in the future. Makes it easier. No, I'm not saying that you should.
Okay.
Not at all.
Doesn't sound like it's her requirement.
No, it isn't anymore.
It wasn't mine to begin with.
I know.
Never was.
No, it was,
know it
never
wasn't.
was.
Gloria's point on that is it would align better with the budgeting process
Yes.
and lock in lower rates for the next year before the October 1 increases. That's the only motivations to consider it sooner than later.
Yes, it would, but it would also require that we move very quickly for our own parts, okay?
True.
Very quickly.
True.
And that's when mistakes are made by public bodies, when they move very, very quickly. Anything can be done. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any more? Or-
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and we have one more company, which is Paychex, which, as I mentioned, is going to really talk about a little bit of a hybrid here because they have a proposal for us for payroll outsourcing, but they also are agent of record insurance benefits providers as well. So I'll let them take it from there.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Schuler with Paychex. This is my colleague OJ. And then I've got another team behind me because this is a completely different presentation. We are able to handle outsourcing human resources, payroll, time and attendance systems, as well as benefit administration. So starting this off as a benefits conversation, we can do that if you'd like, but it's completely different. Really, the power behind Paychex is integrating everything, streamlining your biweekly process, and allowing the benefits administration to flow through the payroll system. So guide me a little bit in what would you like me to tell you about first?
But shouldn't we start with what we heard from the other 2 presenters?
By all means, what are you recommending in terms of health insurance?
Okay, absolutely. So, kind of the same deal. We send out a quote in the open market. Just to be 100% clear on this, any agent that brings you rates are rates in the open market. No agent is going to ever come to you with better rates. Just doesn't exist. We're the 26th largest agency in the United States. We did $137 million last year in insurance. Pretty good insurance. If there was better rates out there, I think we get it. Doesn't exist. That being said, I did bring a pretty similar plans to the previous agent that was speaking. I brought Aetna, Humana, Blue Cross, and NHP. In speaking to the town, they were explaining that they weren't too happy with NHP. I think a really good solution would be Blue Cross as well.
What has been your experience with NHP?
Personally,
Slim delivery system?
that their networks are a mess.
Okay.
I've heard that they're a disaster. Sometimes they don't even know where their networks are. Yes, I've heard that as well. That being said, I really like Blue Cross as well. They're a great carrier. Their HMO program is fabulous. Pretty much all doctors do accept it, okay? Now, in this proposal, there's a couple plans. The first one being an HMO, which you guys can see, it's the 14352. It's right next to the Aetna plan if you guys look. Okay, and that one is at a $534 premium. Now, that plan has pretty similar deductible to what you guys currently have. I think you have a $1,500 deductible. This one has a $2,000 deductible. Max out of pocket's a little bit higher, $4,000, but it has co-pays for doctors and specialists. And as you guys can see, the premium's pretty low. It's in the lower 500s. In looking at plans, guys, there's hundreds of plans. We could set up a strategy however you want. We could put in a lower value plan where you guys can pay for part of the spouse as well, so there's money there for both. And we could put some buy-up options. We can really set that up however you guys want to set it up. Where Paychex is unique is really the solution that we bring to you guys in administration. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit, then I'll come back to it, or just go into it. Cool. So what we're able to do is it's really three things. Insurance is insurance. Any broker can get you guys set up with insurance plans. We work with all the carriers as well. Rates are rates. What we're able to do is provide a very unique solution in what we do is integration, technology, and compliance. All right, now from an administration standpoint for the policy, we offer a custom-built web portal to you guys, which at a size of 30 employees is really unheard of. Traditional brokers just can't do it. It's very expensive. We build out a completely custom web portal. All your policies you have in, if you guys have health, dental, life, vision, whatever it is, will be put into that web portal and has an employee and employer side. It allows the employer to see everyone that's enrolled, what the cost of premiums are, what deductions are per pay period. You can make changes to the plan if an employee needs to, or they can go in and make changes on their own plan. It gives them that freedom. There's both sides to it. From an administration standpoint, it's great. Starting with eligibility tracking. Right now, if someone needs to get offered benefits, you got to give them a packet. Say, hey, it's time for you guys to enroll in benefits. You got to track that. What's your waiting period? 60 days? 30 days? What do you guys have?
30 days plus the first of the month.
First of the month following 30 days. So you guys have to track how long you've had an employee, then give them the benefit package to get them enrolled. With this portal, we have payroll, so we're able to track that for you. We send a link right to the portal, say, hey, it's time for this employee to enroll. It sends them out a link and say, here's your benefits. Not only are all the benefits in there, the premiums are in there, their deductions are in there. It goes straight to the summary of benefits, and it also goes to the carrier website. So anything that they may need, it's all right in there. Also talking integration, deductions. Right now, you guys have to manually do your deductions. Sometimes there's changes. There's always that room for error with that. Again, we have your payroll. We're able to offer the solution of streamlining that. So we handle the deductions automatically. Any changes that are made, we automatically make it. The system speaks to itself. Keep going down COBRA. We administer the COBRA for you. We handle the COBRA completely. We send out the initial notice. As soon as someone is no longer with the company, we can see that on payroll. We automatically send out the COBRA notice. Again, it's all streamlining stuff we're able to do because we have your payroll. That's why we're really a unique solution. I already spoke a little bit into deductions. Looking at compliance, we have something that's pretty unique, Balance Care. It's an 800 number that's provided to all your employees that are enrolled in benefits. It's a 24-hour phone number that a licensed agent answers the phone. As soon as they call in, if they have questions about their plan, they need to know about networks, deductible, co-pays, anything like that, they can answer it right there for them. If they get a bill that they feel they were billed incorrectly, we do fight the claims for them as well. So it's just an added benefit that we're able to offer to the employees, again, because we are the payroll company and we have the policy. You guys have any questions? I know it was a lot of information.
When you said you set up a portal for the individual client, in this case the town, and then you kind of buzzed through how that interfaces, because I know in my personal situation I have one of those, and then when you try to get to the actual carrier, it's a mess.
Right.
So how does that part work?
So the way it works is it's not the actual carrier. It's a portal that we build, and the employee goes in. Let's say your spouse lost their coverage. You want to add them. You simply go in, you add them. It automatically speaks to our web portal, which we send it to the carrier. Comes right back. The person's already enrolled. We set up the deduction because we have the payroll, and it's all done without you ever having to contact your broker, say, hey, we need to make this change. Send it.
And where do you find who's in network, who's not in network? You don't go to your site, you go to the Blue Cross site?
Right, so it's, the Blue Cross site is linked on there, so you can go straight into the Blue Cross site. But also with Paychex, you're given an account manager. So any questions an employee has, the account manager's job is not to be out looking for new business. They answer any questions an
It's
employee
more
has.
management of management and reporting of deductibles, where you stand on co-insurance, et cetera,
All that,
agreed?
correct.
Why didn't you, go ahead, Commissioner, I'm sorry.
What's the phone number that you call and they always answer?
Oh, it's an 800 number. I could provide you guys the packets with all the information on it if you guys want to see.
I was going to call
it.
Seriously?
Oh, you want if you want? Yeah. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Any other? Why not Humana in this?
To be 100% honest with you, I don't. Humana doesn't have the greatest networks of doctors.
Is that right on
just
the
my
commercial?
Just my personal experience with Humana, their HMOs are not nearly as strong as Blue Cross, and from a pricing.
Oh, I would agree with that.
Yeah, from a pricing.
But you've got Aetna here.
Right, Aetna is a much better network than Blue Cross. Or, I'm
Is-
sorry, then Humana. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Well,
if you
very
flip-
soon Aetna is going to be the same network as Humana, if Aetna has its way.
You're 100% correct.
If I'm reading the correct one, you've got Humana
Yeah.
someplace.
I quoted Humana as
To
well.
the
Did you?
back.
I
Yeah,
it's in the
flipped it,
back.
And I didn't, okay.
Yeah,
through here.
I put the rates in there so you guys could see them, but again, Blue Cross came in extremely competitive.
Ah. Here's one. What, and so we have a bifurcated issue here because, the other side of the house does payroll. My own position is that, overworked, underworked, or not, we shouldn't be doing payroll in-house. I don't, I mean, it shouldn't be done in-house. It's a specialized, area of work. It's a tedious area of work if you have to do it occasionally as opposed to full-time doing payroll after payroll after payroll. Go ahead, Don.
How about time slips program? You all track in now on a time clock?
Combination of
That-
time
that
clock
was
and
one of the
salary.
things that we
Correct. We
discussed
will
was
be
the time
talking
attendance
talking
system.
about all that.
Log in
So,
from their computers or wherever.
right. So the question then becomes, since we're trying to keep this all budget neutral, you're going to pitch us on payroll, right?
Yes.
And you're going to give us payroll for nothing because we're giving him.
No.
Oh yeah, yeah you are. Oh, you are though. Trust me.
Is there a
Okay.
cost sheet here?
I mean,
sorry?
A cost sheet?
Yeah, the rates are, for the health insurance premiums
Here's the
are
rates.
there.
I think it's a very,
But the
It- where
outsourcing
it says
for human
24 times.
resources, that's
Oh, here
the
we go.
page you were just looking at.
I was confused on that myself.
Just for the
Payroll,
record,
go
this
ahead.
is the only company that's also presenting a payroll package to us. The other companies are strictly insurance administrators, plans administrators. They don't do the automated payroll piece. This is a hybrid presentation compared to the other two, but they do offer the same insurance administration benefit services in conjunction with their integrated payroll package. You could consider treating the payroll piece completely separately, but I believe their insurance administration package comes hand in hand with it in terms of the
Insurance can be done
efficiencies.
separately,
Absolutely.
so you don't have to go with the payroll outsourcing in order to do health insurance.
And we don't
But
have to
the
do
power-
health insurance in order to do the payroll.
Correct.
Correct.
But the power of the beauty of the whole thing is the integration with the payroll.
Okay, so, well, that's the beauty of it to you. The beauty of it to me is that if we came to the conclusion that we're going to do payroll outsourcing, which we well may, I don't know what is going to be decided here, we know that you're in a competitive business, and we can go to any one of your competitors. So maybe what we talk about is, no, we'll just talk to you, but there's an added advantage to you if you can bring your partner in to sell us health insurance. And I've never been in a situation where if we do the group purchase, we don't get a break on one or the other.
Sure.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
There are efficiencies in combining
Yeah,
services.
absolutely.
Exactly, there's efficiencies in combining
Absolutely.
services. This is the
Yes.
See Dick and Jamie show. Commission?
I'm looking at the first sheet of your presentation. And I assume that's the summary of the outsourcing for the
That looks like
payroll
this.
system? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, am I reading this correctly? It's
27.
27,958 per year for that service?
Yes.
And then a 4,000 one-time setup charge?
Correct.
That's not a recurring charge,
That's
correct?
not a recurring charge, no.
Okay, does the 27,958 consider the kicker that Commissioner Luchabello is referring to? Or is that just
No, it
strictly
does
the?
not.
Okay.
And we don't pay setup fees in Ocean Ridge. We don't. I mean, we don't.
All right.
Okay.
Do you have do you also have the same September, October cutoff date, so we can let you know by the August 23 date?
That would be fine for an October renewal.
Okay.
What are you looking for?
To get your questions answered, as I mentioned earlier, we're entertaining new companies and new programs and plans while trying to keep relatively revenue neutral to the town in the investment in those plans. This one throws a little bit of a curveball at you because it also includes a component to outsource payroll. The other two companies presenting tonight are not involved in that side of the industry.
Are you suggesting, I'm asking you, are you asking us to set a meeting to pick a health plan? Are you asking us to set a meeting to decide on outsourcing payroll to a company? What is it that you are asking tonight? Are you asking for permission to move forward and come back with a recommendation?
Yes.
In both cases, payroll and insurance. Now we're getting
Each and
somewhere.
every one of
Can we
those,
agree
yeah.
we're getting somewhere?
I would like to hear a little bit from each of the employees. I think it's only fair that they decided to come here, take their time off to tell us.
Is that the purpose they're here?
I mean, one would assume that,
Okay,
you
we'll
know,
open
I
it
mean,
up.
if
We'll
if
open
they
it up.
took the
Can I
time
just
to come here,
say one thing?
give them some time to talk to us.
We'll open it
Rich
up.
brought up a very good question. We don't have your cost, because you guys said that there would be synergies and something would be reduced. So we do need a or a
Well,
sheet.
No.
this is the costs.
I don't
Yeah,
think,
but,
I don't think she needs to present it to us.
no, present it to
She's
Jimmy.
town manager. Yeah.
And that's what he's asking for, is permission to move forward and come back with a recommendation, right?
All
If
right,
we-
how about this? I move that we hear from the town employees, limit their
I'm
presentation
gonna
to
open
1
it up
minute
to,
per
I
person.
will open it up
And
to,
then we
Commissioner,
defer
I
to
will open it
August
up.
23.
I will open it up to the town employees, but what I'd like to do, I mean, I think there's certain things that are pretty clear. We're not gonna make a decision here tonight. We're not gonna make a decision in another meeting if we do it in this manner. That, what we probably need is a motion or simply consent to have the town manager meet with these three companies, give us a recommendation of what he wants to do, and then we can open it up to the staff.
Well, I was trying to do that. I think we need a motion to have this deferred to the next meeting because we have to advertise it, do we not, for the
Do
public?
we have a motion?
I so move.
Well, why can't we refer it back
Well,
to Jamie?
I don't understand.
Because
Yeah.
if we do it on the 23rd, I think we have to publish the meeting because it's a special town commission meeting.
I don't
to
know
have
that we're expected to do a vote on the 23rd. I think that is really, really rushing things a bit. But you have a motion, do we have a second? Fair is fair.
Well, let me ask the town attorney, do we need to have, if we have a consideration for this issue on the 23rd, are we going to need to publish and then give the
Right.
public notice of that?
Right now, the 23rd was just going to be your budget workshop.
Correct.
So you'll be, if you want to make that decision on 23rd, you'll be converting that or following that with a special meeting.
Yes.
So you could start, for example, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock with a special meeting to decide this issue and then move into your budget workshop.
Yes.
And then the clerk would publish the proper notice.
We'd have to publish that notice, correct?
Yes,
So
yes.
do we need a motion?
If you're planning on
That's-
making a decision on the 23rd,
So I so move.
possibly making a decision on the 23rd, then yes, you want to schedule a special meeting for the 23rd to consider this.
I move for a special meeting on the 23rd to consider the insurance issues we just discussed.
Do we have a motion, do we have a second?
Then how do we discuss it on
Hand
the
him that,
23rd?
hand him that gavel, I'll second it. I'll second.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Yes?
So we will set a special meeting on the 23rd in addition to the budget workshop to decide the insurance issue at that meeting.
Yes.
And
That
properly
is
notification.
correct, but this has to be,
Final.
no, it may get tabled. Sorry, we don't have enough information, okay? This is going to have to be really, really locked down. I will be more than happy to commit myself to sit in some of these meetings with some of these lovely people who can do better than they're doing. Trust me. Where'd she go? Where'd Gloria go?
She's here.
Trust me. If you want, just make the phone call. I don't think I have a conflict in doing that, do I?
No, and Mr. Mayor,
The next person that calls me Mr. Mayor,
All right, I'll call you Mr. Vice Mayor.
Commissioner does, Commissioner work.
Commissioner.
Procedurally, you're mayor at the moment.
I would suggest that special meetings start first, and then you follow with the workshop, that we have a time certain.
I would absolutely agree. 1 hour for the special meeting, do it, followed by the workshop.
9 o'clock special,
Motion
10
to do
o'clock.
it 9 to
Yeah.
10 and 10 to whenever.
If that's an amendment to my motion, I accept it.
Make a motion, you're better at it than
All
me.
right, I move that we conduct the special meeting to consider the insurance issue to begin on August 23rd at 9 a.m., maximum hour, to be followed by the budget meeting, same date, at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Second.
All in favor?
You can't second.
I can't
Without
second.
Second.
flashing the gavel.
Don't make me do it. Second?
I'll
Oh, we have a
second.
second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
So I will see you at 9 o'clock then, and then I'll leave for the budget part.
Okay.
And I'll come for this part.
Good.
We will work with the three companies and invite you if you'd like to sit in on any of those
Please.
discussions.
This is not public comment, but we would like to hear from staff on this specific issue. If you have something you want to share with us, anybody?
I'll start.
That's not a good sign. I'll start.
Lieutenant Jones, obviously employed with the Ocean Ridge Police Department for the last several years. I would just like to tell you guys that I appreciate the opportunity, number one, to come and speak to you, and I appreciate the opportunity that you guys have taken to review this as an option to move forward with potential other plans. I personally do not have health coverage for my family because of cost and the factor associated with the deductibles associated to the plan that we currently have along with the monthly cost. So I've chosen not to have that as an option. That's me alone. I can't speak on behalf of the employees because I wouldn't want to do that. I do have dental benefits as well as health benefits, and I have found it extremely difficult to find a provider myself for both dental benefits and/or health benefits with our current plan. So that is my biggest issue coming forward to the commission, is that it's just not a comprehensive plan that gives the employees the option to go see their own providers or even to seek a new provider. Even the providers which they have published on their website, which is our portal for access, is not accurate. When you contact the physicians, they don't actually take the plan, and it's published that they do because there's a connection between United Healthcare and the plan that we have. So all the providers that United Healthcare offer show up, but our current plan, which is in our portal, is not the same as those provider lists. So it just seems like there's a lot of failure of information being brought to the employees or being available to the employees for those kind of purposes and for those, the information that you seek as an employee. So that's pretty much all I wanted to bring to you guys and obviously share that that's been my difficulty. I would also like to say that I'm one of those employees that have been a customer of Ms. Rosen in the past. I worked for the city of Clewiston for a number of years, and Gloria was our provider there. She tells you about customer service. I can tell you for a fact that the customer service she told you about, I have personally received from her, or else I would not have mentioned her to the town. So I just wanted you to know that, obviously. And then aside from that, I wanted you to know that also I understand that the perspective you guys have is monetary and also what's in best interest for the entire town, not me. So I'm not sharing a story to get you guys to consider something that's going to benefit me. I simply am sharing my story so that you guys can make a more informed decision from my perspective as one single employee.
I'm sympathetic. Three decades as a competitor in the market, and I've not heard of neighborhood health plan until my lady out there reminded me who they were. Other employees?
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Courtney Brecka. I too work for the police side here at Ocean Ridge. I'm a dispatcher. I've been here almost 3 years. I come to you with my story of our current plan, the neighborhood health under United Healthcare. I've been very intimate with my insurance plan since December. I had a daughter who was born early, premature, 3 months, and I was still trying to get covered her medical expenses from December of last year. So we're going 8 months plus, and there's no rectification in sight. I spend countless hours of my own time. I get home from work, call, couple hours on the phone to no resolve. I'm told this by one representative I get when I call in. The next time I call to follow up on the previous phone call, I'm diverted in another direction. I as well, like Lieutenant Jones, my spouse is not on the plan. My daughter is, due to her medical ongoing. It's cost prohibitive to put my spouse, the entire family, on the plan. It's very expensive alone with my child. Additionally, when I do try to use the insurance, I've been met with not being able to on the backside, whether it is, they tell me the doctor's covered, come to find out they're not, or vice versa, then we flop back to they're covered. There's a long, extensive, I too have found the provider list online that they give us as providers to not be accurate. They'll be listed as providers, I call they're not, or I call they are and they're not on our portal that we have. Going to the doctor with the plan that we currently have, it's kind of a free-for-all. You don't know what you're getting. We don't have co-pays. We're up to our deductible, and then we have our co-insurance up to our out-of-pocket. To go to the pediatrician, I can spend anywhere from $75 to $100. My daughter goes to the pediatrician, obviously, a little more often than the average. Sometimes to go to a specialist, I'm paying $214 to $275. On top of what I pay monthly, it's a very big burden to carry. And again, it just speaks to the current plan we have. I don't believe, especially for what you're paying into it, I don't feel you're getting your money out of it, as well as employees are not getting a benefit as well.
How's your daughter doing?
She's doing very well, thank you.
And we're going to solve this for you.
I have a couple of questions.
I'll give it to you right, 1 second. That gentleman, Mr. Adams, will you get with this young lady after the meeting and make arrangements to get this resolved? Go ahead.
Do you have outstanding medical bills that you think should have been paid that have not been covered? And has that adversely affected your credit profile?
It has. There have been some into collections that had we had our NICU bills and everything rectified, my deductible would have been paid, those wouldn't have been due, and therefore they wouldn't have gone to
Okay, so you have had some significant
Correct.
adverse
Yes.
impact as a result of these
I
issues?
have,
Okay.
and I would like to know, when you call into Neighborhood Health, and I'm speaking to representatives, as I said before, I get whoever I get that day, I'm following up on a previous phone call, I get directed in a different direction. There is no benefit to that. I mean,
Disorganized.
it's completely
Okay,
disorganized. You
okay.
don't have, I mean, even for such a large claim, we're talking $600,000 plus for really one service, and I can't get the same person or anybody to, we can't seem to get ahead. I get further behind with every phone call I make to them, and further away from a resolve.
Were these in-network doctors?
They are all in network.
Wow.
They are all in network, and again, most of which were hospitalization due to her being in the NICU. So, coming in, and I've been through the gamut of why, how to get it rectified. I follow that avenue, roadblock, new agent on the phone, I get a different answer. And again, overall, the plan is ineffective.
Thanks.
Picture painted. Anybody else? Question, Gail?
Just from, go ahead.
You may.
No, just a little advice, which I'm sure you, the insurance people know more. Isn't there a 12-month, like if you're put off for 12 months, then they'll never cover you from the time of the original bill. So
I've been
you are,
concerned and expressed that to them when I've been on the phone.
I've not
and-
heard of that.
it happened to me.
And I
I'm
feel,
not many-
And if they claim that they hadn't received a claim possibly. But, okay, employees. Anybody else wanted to say anything? We'll give you 30 seconds, okay?
30 seconds, I'm starting right now. I'm Mark Hanna, 6400 North Ocean Boulevard, right next door. I sue insurance companies and doctors, and I'm one of the scumbag ambulance chasers. I sue insurance companies for denying claims. United Healthcare is one of the worst across the board. 2012, their CEO made $290 million, and I've had many calls from it. I would say regarding what my predecessor just said. My daughter, when she was born, she's 14 now, I had to go through the rigmarole with Blue Cross Blue Shield. She had to have special formula that just came from England because she had a milk allergy. And they would not cover it. Every month, I had to file a letter from the doctor and the insurance claim. Insurance companies, and Commissioner Bonfiglio will back me up on this.
30 seconds.
Well, he'll back me up on this. Delay, deny, defend. So you need to be careful which company you choose because your obligation is the best and cheapest. Best. And for your employees, you need to focus on the best.
And I thank you.
No, well, the other, one more thing, one more thing, one more thing.
30 seconds. This is not public comment. I'm sorry, Mark.
45 seconds.
Okay, I'll give you another
One more
15
thing.
seconds. We need
How
to finish.
about taking Mr. Titcomb, contacting Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, United Health, and let's throw in one of the other major companies and get some individual or some basis for the premium. I pay $845 for my
let's
daughter.
stop.
No,
Let's
I'm going to
stop.
tell you, my
No,
daughter
because
on
I
a
do know about this.
PPO, no
An
copay,
Okay.
no copay.
I'm going to ask
No,
you, I'm going to
okay.
ask you, I'm going to ask you.
I'm trying to protect
I'm
your.
going to ask you to complete
Okay.
and sit. Thank you.
No copay.
Thank you. Thank you.
No deductible.
Thank you.
For $845.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that's
Thank
me
you.
and my daughter.
An individual policy will cost us, we all know.
No, an
Thank you,
individual
sit.
policy costs more than a
Thank you,
group
please
plan.
sit.
So, I will sit down, but.
Thank you, thank you,
I'm
thank
looking
you.
out for your employees.
Thank you. We understand you are. You will not be able to get Blue Cross, Aetna, Humana, or anybody else to give you direct insurance
Yes, you
without
will.
going through an
Yes, you
agent.
will. That's
Please don't interrupt me again. Please. Please don't interrupt me again.
Incorrect.
Well, then write a letter to the newspaper,
I will write a
okay?
letter to the
Or take it up in public comment.
Come on,
Don't
guys.
do this at this meeting, please, come up. This is what we get for opening it up, okay?
Yes, you do, because you're getting. your
Silence,
information.
please. I'm going to ask you once more.
I'm a member of the public.
Correct, and you're out of order. Please.
Scott Morgan would love you.
I'm Rick Stang, I'm Sergeant with the Police Department here. I was going to just sit in the back since the other employees covered pretty much everything I had. But I had a few people look at me and tell me to get up. My issue right now is my daughter's currently on Florida Kid Care. She turns 5 years old. I'm sorry. My daughter's currently on Florida Kid Care. She turns 5 in another month and a half, at which time she's no longer eligible for that. So she does have a bunch of medical issues, is constantly in and out of the doctor's office, specialists. So I'm looking at what I'm gonna do for her for insurance. So I'm looking at these higher rates, what I'm gonna have to pay every month, what I'm gonna have to pay every time we go to the doctor, what doctors are covered, because like they've already explained, it's all over the place. We don't know what's right, what's wrong with the information we're provided. So we're just looking at what's gonna help us all. I mean, again, like Lieutenant Jones said, I'm just providing you my information as one person.
I have the same questions for you. Do you have outstanding medical bills that have not been paid that you think should be covered? And has it adversely impacted your credit profile?
Currently, I do not. And granted, I also had an outpatient surgery earlier this year that I had to do some fighting back and forth with insurances and doctors, but I've been able to get all that resolved.
Okay. Thank you.
Just by staying
Any other
on top.
questions?
I have no questions for the sergeant, but I'd like to say one thing. My husband and I have had Florida Blue Cross Blue Shield through his employment and his retirement. We are so happy with it. We have never had a single problem with, and I know we had that here. The town had it for their employees when I first was on the commission or whatever. And then the decision was brought to us, we could have this other nice program cheaper.
Well,
And then you see the results.
it's clear that this was, that the company was a buyout and is operating on its own and is extremely disorganized. I can tell you that even though we will get a horror story about Blue Cross, about United, about Aetna, about every single one of them, you'll find a horror story. in general, what we find, Humana, Aetna, Blue Cross, you do not have the types of problems that we're hearing of, administrative problems that we're hearing of. So, that being said, any other employee comments? Okay.
Comments closed.
The motion to adjourn?
We have.
Please, go ahead, Mr. Adams, you got pilloried enough.
I'm hearing about these for the first time on several things, but I will have, at your workshop, I will have a United Healthcare representative here.
Very good,
You can throw
thank
the
you.
questions at him. I mean, I was on board of United Healthcare, so I'm very familiar with that. It's disturbing to hear that, because I'm
You should have,
I'm
you
unaware.
shouldn't have United here, you should have somebody from.
United will be here.
You should have somebody from the subsidiary here,
Well,
from that plan here.
United Healthcare owns them, yes.
I understand that.
They will be here.
They're obviously not being run by United, though. Their customer service isn't, not from what I'm hearing.
I guess that's what I'm hearing too, which is
Mr. Adams,
kind of shocking.
we ought not to be providing a health insurance service to our employees that results in them owing a lot of money in insurance, in non-paid medical bills and adversely impacting their credit profiles. We just ought not to be doing that. So
I
that's a
100%
serious
agree.
concern of mine.
100% agree.
Thank you.
And you've served
100%
this
agree.
town well, and that's recognized, and we do understand that.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have, I mean, I have over 600 accounts. I've been, we're the largest independently owned insurance agency in South Florida, the largest.
I mean,
So,
to be honest with you, this is the first I've heard that we've had these kinds of issues, so, I mean, you folks really should be bringing that to the town manager's attention or our
They should
attention.
come to our office.
Or
you know,
and call
'cause
Mr. Adams.
We don't know about it, we don't know about it.
You're gonna
Thank
solve that young lady's problem for us, so.
I got her name and number,
Good.
she'll hear from us tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Okay, no problem.
Jamie,
Thank you.
you want a minute?
Thank you, Rich. Just one moment for announcement, so the public knows and the commission, on Tuesday, August 9th, which is a week from tomorrow, here in this room, FDOT, Florida Department of Transportation, is holding an Ocean Avenue Bridge Maintenance Project public information meeting. Many of you have contacted me about talking to FDOT about their issues. They'll have a number of representatives here in relationship to this project. It's at 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. It's a public meeting. It is a casual open house style, not an action meeting, and you can come interact. The main topic is the 2017 refurbishment of the Ocean Avenue Bridge here, but they will be able to answer other FDOT questions as well. So I invite you all to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for your patience tonight.